we have a very, very special guest, somebody that I have always admired, one of the sharpest business minds around. And he's such a trooper because, I contacted him last week. And I said, Don, I need you to come and speak. I have not given Don an agenda. Don's pretty much unplugged at this point. But I think, Don, what I'd like to reiterate, we got some new people and we got some veterans. We got this crazy market. We got the lawsuit. So I'm just going to let you fly. And thank you so much for being on the Winner Circle.
Hey, my pleasure. It's an honor. So what I will do,
Don, can you give a very brief background on yourself, because there's some people on here who don't know who you are.
Okay. Well, my first full year in real estate was 1990, and I closed 51 deals with Remax that year, and continued to be a top producer in the Sacramento metro area through the 90s. And then in 2000, I joined Keller Williams, became a team leader, built their office from 10 to 184 agents in 27 months. That particular market center went on to become the most profitable KW in the country at one point. And I think I'm the only person in KW's history that has successfully built 10 of their franchises from the ground up. And so I had a good run with them, bought some offices with other partners, but we won't go into that because that was no fun.
How many total did you have, Don? How many Keller Williams offices did you open up?
Well, I opened 10, like I told you, but we acquired another 21, 14 of which needed turning around. And our acquisition dates was 6 and 7. So you can imagine how fun that was.
Yeah.
And so this gray hair that you see, that came mostly from 2006 to 2010. Really, that was tough. That was really tough times, and very humbling. And but I'm here, and it's tough to beat a guy that just won't give up, is what I have found. And I'm choosing to be one of those people. So I joined Keller EXP in 2019, and I've built an organization of 1,072 agents and loving every day.
Yeah, you guys have one of the fastest growing EXP legs in the company. Just absolutely amazing. Okay, now that the introductions are out of the way, say what's on your heart, say what's on your mind, and make it happen.
Okay, will do. And I'm going to talk about a referral-based business. What I left out of the story was that after I had cleaned up that mess I created at KW, I became a coach in 2010. And my specialty is helping people to work by referral, and in particular, professional referral. But I'm going to start off the dialogue around our sphere of influence, because my belief is that that is the foundation, or should be the foundation, of every real estate agent's business, right? And when I am coaching an agent, what I ask them to do is get to 300 people as fast as they possibly can, for whom they are a real estate resource, to become the realtor of choice. So, for example, if I were running a team like Nate does, I would not let somebody in the door unless they could show up with at least 60 people that they know, liked, and trusted, and that those people felt the same about them. And the goal, of course, as I said, is to get up to 300. And you can do that in a variety of ways, right? You can do open houses, you can door knock, you can call, you can, whatever you do, an internet lead, you can take that first contact and then build rapport and then relationship and be a real estate resource and to become the realtor of choice, right? And so how does one do that, though? In it's interesting, and I have to confess, I'm fit in this category. When I was early in the business, remember, my first full year was 1990, okay? So I was just a kid. I was kind of apprehensive, nervous, whatever you want to call it, about calling my friends and family, because they knew I was brand new in the business and I was young, okay? And so when you are new in the business, if you're feeling that anxiety that I was feeling, what I want to encourage you to do is be a real estate resource. Because if Frank's a brand new doctor, right? And I got to have heart surgery. You know, as much as I admire Frank, I'm not that excited about him operating on me as his first operation. Okay. But I don't mind if Frank checks my pulse, checks my blood pressure, maybe even draws a little bit of blood. Okay. I just don't want him doing heart surgery on me. Okay. As his first go. Now, what is the equivalent of that in real estate? It is calling up Frank if he is in my sphere of influence and saying, hey, Frank, you may or may not be aware that I'm practicing real estate in our town now. And I'm just wanted to reach out and see if there's anything that you need around the house, you know, like a painter, plumber, roofer, or landscaper. And you guys know, as a homeowner, you pretty much always need something, right? And so Frank says, well, actually, I do want to paint my deck. And so I hook him up with a painter, right? If I don't have that professional, I go find him. And the communication that I have to Frank is, Frank, I'm going to be your real estate resource, and I'm campaigning to be your realtor of choice. I know you're only going to move every 10 years, or at least that's the statistics. So no problem. But I want you to know, in between those times, you're welcome to reach out to me for anything to do with your home or your estate planning as it pertains to real estate. I will either have that contact because I work with those folks now on a daily basis, or I will go find them for you. Okay. Now, I can tell you that painting is an interesting one. It's a trigger event for listing a home. Do you know, by the way, that there's only 3 reasons why somebody paints a house? They either just bought it and they're fixing it up, there's deferred maintenance, or they're planning to sell it. Okay. So if somebody needs a painter, what you want to do is you guys, well, first of all, raise your hand if you refer a painter in your business. Okay. All right. Every hand that I saw just went up. All right. And now raise your hand if you got 3 or more listing referrals from your painter last year. Okay. Sid, tell us the story. That's great. So you got 3 listings or more from a painter last year.
Yeah, I got 4. Yep.
That's awesome. And how long has your painter been referring you?
For about 1.5 years now. We actually use him on our, kind of like what you do is with other clients. And, oh, do you need a painter? Do you need flooring? You know, we referred him. Well, he goes around because they all want to talk to the contractor. And then they're like, oh, we're thinking of selling. And he's like, well, you need to call Sid. And he's got multiple listings just by the painter.
I love it. Okay. So a couple things. Sid has had this relationship for 1.5 years. In the last 12 months, it's gotten him 4 listings, which is fantastic. Congratulations. Sid, I'm gonna teach you how to make that relationship even more valuable. And for the rest of you that are not getting 4 listings a year, you should be from a painter. Okay. I have other agents in my organization that do get 3 to 4 listings every year from their painter, because they've done this one thing, which is they taught the painter to ask, may I ask what has prompted you to paint your home? You know, because if you're going to be selling in the near future, we'll use a quality paint, but maybe not the most expensive one. And regardless, we're going to do a great job, but we may not want to go to the same time as an expense as if you tell us that you're going to be here for another 10 years. Okay. So in other words, the painter should be asking that question anyway, just to make sure that they're serving the customer. But when they ask that question, roughly 25% of the time, the reason that the thing that prompted them to paint their home is that they're planning to sell. A good painter paints 4 to 5 houses a month. Okay. That means that they're painting a home every single month, statistically, that is going on the market. You're not going to get all those deals. Sometimes by the time they're painting, they already have a relationship. But you should, if you're not getting 3 to 4 listings from your painter, like Sid, okay, you need a new painter, or you haven't trained your painter properly. Okay. And by the way, that strategy doesn't just apply to painting. Can anybody tell me another trigger event for listing a home? Home maintenance. What else would somebody do to a house to prepare it for market?
Clean the carpet.
Plumber,
Clean the carpet.
back.
Clean the carpet. I heard that's absolutely one. What's another? What was the other one?
Just plumbing issues.
Yeah, plumbing issues for sure. How about landscaping, tree trimming, remodeling, resurfacing the pool? Every single one of those things are trigger events for listing a home. Every one of those professionals should be worth 3 to 4 listings a year. Okay. So if you guys jump off the Zoom right now, I just gave you enough strategies to get a listing a month. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You are going to encounter a situation like I used to live in Folsom, pretty nearby Frank, actually. And so I'm going to be talking to a painter. Frank, what part of town are you in?
Rancho Cordova.
Okay. I'm going to be talking to a painter, and the guy's going to say, well, Don, sure, I'll ask what's prompted them to paint their home. But you got to know, man, I've been doing business with Frank Crandall for like 20 years. Okay. How do I refer you instead of Frank? And what I would say to the painter is I would say, well, now Frank is in Rancho Cordova, isn't he? And he'll say, yes. And I'll say, well, okay. What I'm going to share with you is going to cause Frank to love you, because whenever somebody is painting their home in Rancho Cordova or Gold River, which is nearby there, Rosemont is another also area. What I want to encourage you to do is ask what prompted them to paint their home. And if they say it's because we're planning to sell, I want you to do a 3-way text with that homeowner and Frank Crandall. Now, that being said, because I live in Folsom, if you're painting a home in Carmichael, Fair Oaks, or Folsom, I want that text. Okay. And so what you do is you teach those vendors to geographically distribute the referrals to their top referral partners. Now, what if Frank and I both lived in Rancho Cordova and worked? That was our primary markets. I'm getting a new painter, right? Because they've been working with Frank for 20 years. And if they're going to refer anybody, they're going to refer Frank. So my point is this is a conversation that you want to have with each of these vendors. There's 3 pieces that I just taught you there. Number 1, you got to teach them to ask the question that's going to bubble up the referral. May I ask what has prompted you to paint the home? When they say, we're planning to sell, it is, okay, great. What I can do is I can do a 3-way text introduction to a real estate colleague of mine. By the way, he will come out. Painting is a great thing to do to get your home ready for sale. That being said, I've got a real estate colleague that can actually show you how to optimize your home for sale. He'll show you the other things that would be worthwhile to do, and actually the things you probably don't need to bother with. And if you require other contractors, he will connect you to them. Would you like me to make that introduction? Yes, boom, it's a text. Okay. Do not have the painter give your business cards away. Okay. I'm telling you, half of the time, even though they need a realtor, and even though they said they were going to call, they won't call. It's a 3-way text. Okay. All right. And then the last thing was every painter has got 12 realtors referring them. And by the way, if that painter said, well, I've got Frank in Rancho, but I got, Sue in Fair Oaks, as long as he will refer me in Folsom, we're still golden, right? Because Folsom is my primary market. Okay. Remember though, if Frank and I were in the same market, I'm going for a new painter. Okay. All right. Moving on. So what we want to do though, is we want to get up to 300 people as fast as possible. Why is that? will you guys agree with me that homeowners move about every 10 years? Is that a fair number?
Yeah, I heard about every 7, but yeah, we can go with that.
Okay. And if you include rentals and if the market's going really fast up or down, it does tend to be closer to 7. It does vary a little bit by if it's more urban, the rate of turnover tends to be a little higher. If it's more rural, you'll actually find that it's lower. I want to encourage you guys though, with your database, one of the things that you should know is the turnover rate of your specific database. Okay, like my company Pro Insight, we tell you that. We tell you the age of your clients and we tell you the turnover rate, right? And because when you're at 300, if you know your turnover rates every 10 years, how many deals a year is that? Come on, I know we got some people that passed 6th grade. What's 300 divided by 10? Michael, 30. Okay, good. I knew somebody got through the 6th grade around here. All right, it's 30 sales. Okay, that's 30 listings, by the way. And that's if everybody goes homeless after they sell their home, which ain't happening, right? But here's the problem. And just so you know, even if you communicate with your sphere of influence in a personalized way every 90 days, which is my model, right? There's 60 working days in a quarter. So if you have 300, you call 5 a day. If you have 240, you call 4 a day. You have 180, you call 3 a day. But you always are time blocking 1 hour. You're never deciding the day of the call, who you're calling. Today, I figure out who I'm calling tomorrow. I go stalk them on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever their thing is, to figure out what's going on in their life. So when I do communicate with them, I can speak about what's relevant and important to them. Okay. So remember, first call was the real estate resource call. Even if I'm a brand spanking new doctor or agent, right? They're not going to mind me introducing them to a painter, plumber, roofer, landscaper. The second call is, Elgin, I know you own your own home here in our area. I'm curious, is investing in real estate part of your retirement strategy? All right. And hopefully, in Elgin's case, since he's in the real estate business, he's going to say yes. Right. And so I'm going to say, great. Tell me what you have in mind. Like, Elgin, I'll have a client that will come to me and say, well, Don, by the time I'm 65, I'd like to have 6 rentals paying me at least $5,000 a month in cash flow. Okay. So first of all, do you own any income property today? And then he'll say what he says. Okay. And then I'll find out what his goal is and by when. And some of the other questions that I might ask, maybe he doesn't own any today, but he has. And I would ask, well, what type of property have you owned? Like single family home, duplex, fourplex, multifamily, whatever. And did you have it managed? Did you manage yourself? How was your experience? Right. And then we make a plan to get Elgin to his goal, whatever that goal is, by his 65th birthday. Okay. Well, Elgin may only have 2 rentals right now, and he needs to get 4 more by the time he's 65. Right. Fortunately, in his case, he's still got a few years to go, but now we're on an agenda, right? Okay. Third call is, are you living in your dream home? So Sid, you're my favorite realtor today, by the way, getting 4 listings from your painter. But are you living in your dream home?
Yes, we bought a beach house during COVID, so yes, we are.
Okay, that's fantastic. And do you have a second home by chance?
Not yet. We're working.
Okay. And where do you want that second home to be?
That we have not decided yet, but that's a great question.
Okay. So here's what I can tell you guys. Sid is extremely unusual in that he already has his dream home. Okay. I would say I've asked that question a couple hundred times. At least 80% of the time, people are not living, they have a dream home and they're not living in it. Okay. But the ones that are living in their dream home almost always want to get a second home, just like Sid. Okay. whether they want a dream home or a second home, I want to know what it is. Okay. So, Gail, are you living in your dream home?
I love my house, and would I like to be closer to the beach or whatever? Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. If you did get a home by the beach, describe it to us if you would. Like, how many bedroom baths, how many stories, does it have a pool? Kind of give us some of those details.
Well, I'm getting at that age. I would probably scale down, and I don't know if you guys get the Facebook posts, those tiny little homes that are 2 bedroom, 1 bath on, let's say, more country overlooking the ocean. That's my
Ah.
perfect.
I'm right there with you, Gail.
Okay, let's do it. What are we waiting for?
You know, and that's interesting. And my wife and I, we used to have this big honking home in Colorado, and now we don't want over 2,400 square feet. Okay. All right. So my question to you, Gail, is how many people on the planet know that you would like to have a home that had some acreage, but a view of the ocean, was just a small little 2 bedroom, 1 bath? How many people could describe it with that level of clarity?
Well, probably 3, which are my kids.
Exactly.
They
Okay.
know.
This
Mhm.
is where I'm going with this, you guys. When somebody shares their dream home with you, they bring you into a circle of almost always less than 5 people on the planet. I asked somebody that question last week. They said, and the guy's response is, only my wife knows.
Yeah.
Okay. My point is, when someone shares that with you, they're bringing you into this very small circle of trust. And what are we campaigning to be? The realtor of choice. Now, what I'm going to do once Gail gives me that description is 2 weeks, a month down the road, I'm going to find a link of a property overlooking the ocean, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, like 1,100 square feet on some land. And I'm going to say, Gail, oh my gosh, I was looking at some property. I came across this home. This looks just like your dream home. Just be sure to stay in touch with me if there's anything I can do to help you make that happen. And I'm going to put in my CRM to go find another home for Gail every single year or whatever, depending on what she tells me.
Mhm.
I have the impression Gail's actually going to downside maybe in the next 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
Okay. So I need to stay on that. Right. But my point is that I want, whenever Gail thinks of her dream home, I want her thinking of me. Right. Now, in life, we got a few people that have our backs. If we're fortunate, you know, what is that saying? If you have 5 people that are true friends, you're a rich man, something like that. Okay. All right. So if your clients know that you know their dream home and that you're pulling for them and you're going to do everything possible to make that happen, do you see how that bonds you to them in a really unique way? Okay. All right. That's call number 3. It's the dream home conversation. Number 4 is invite them to an event. It could be you getting featured on an expert panel, a Zoom, where you're talking about real estate investing, preparing for retirement. It could be that you have extra tickets to the local football game and you just want to give them out to the clients. Okay. But every 90 days, you should have some event that you are inviting them to where you're going to be there. You're participating as a professional, or you're just going to go to the football game or the fair or the whatever, right? But it's a point of connection with them. And what's fun is you can buy 6 extra tickets to the football game, but you can send out the information to 300 people and say, hey, I've got 6 extra tickets to the football game. If you reach out, if you're one of the first 6, then I'll get you a free ticket. Okay. So those are the 4 calls. Remember, we're dividing and 4 calls because there's 4 quarters in the year, right? You do not have to use any particular order in making those calls, but do talk personally to your clients on a quarterly basis. Okay. Now,
I just wanted to, I want to kind of wrap this thing up because I know people have questions for you. And being that we don't get you that often, I want to make sure I open it up and let people ask what they want. So just wanted to tell you that.
Okay, yeah. And what happy to take questions, maybe put them in the chat and I could take them in order. But what I thought I would do if you wanted is, does anybody want to do attraction?
We all do.
Talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's
Okay.
talk about that.
All right.
We got
Amen,
Don
brother.
Yoakum
Preach it.
on here. We got Don Yoakum on here. Let's talk about attraction, man.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm feeling the Holy Ghost.
All right. Now, if a homeowner moves every 10 years, how frequently in years do agents move brokerages?
Is it 3 to 5?
5. Yeah, about 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5, I think.
Yeah, it varies by the agent. Lower producers will tend to move a little bit more because they don't want to take responsibility for the fact that they're not producing, but whatever. Anyway, 5 years. Okay. What if you guys built a nationwide? So first of all, there's 3,200 counties in the country, right? I've identified there's roughly 5,000 markets in the US, right? Because some county, like LA County has 9 million people. Maricopa County has 5 million people. But most counties, the average population in the US is 98,000, by the way. There are some counties that there's mostly cows and sheep. But the point is that let's say there's 5,000 unique markets, but to your market, there are 300 markets that are the highest probability of relocating. They're either leaving your area and going to that area, or they're coming from that area to your area, okay? Google and Redfin actually can even give you those trends. You don't have to even guess, okay? Now, what did we just say? How frequently agents move brokerages?
5 years.
That's right. Twice as fast as homeowners. And does anybody have a dispute about the best way to do their business is to have 300 homeowners for whom you're a real estate resource and the realtor of choice? That is not on trial, right? I mean, we all know that is a fantastic way of running your business, right? Okay. Well, what if you build a referral network with icon level producers, by the way, that are doing over 30 deals a year in the top 300 markets, and they're moving twice as frequently as a homeowner? Now, if the strategy for the consumer was good because they moved every 10 years, wouldn't it be even better if it were with agents that move every 5? Now, what are you going to do? Sid, what market are you in?
Portland, Oregon.
Okay, so I thought you told me you moved to the beach.
Yeah, we do coastal properties as well. We do a wide area, Oregon and Washington.
Okay,
So
all right. So I'm in Hood River, by the way. So I'm going to call Sid and I'm going to say, hey, Sid, I see you're a top producing agent and I'm a top producing agent in Hood River. I want somebody that I can entrust my clients to in the Portland market. Do you have a minute? Well, first of all, would you like some more business? Sid says yes. And I say, okay, great. Tell me a little bit about your practice. And I basically interview him as a referral partner. Then the most important question is, Sid, do you have somebody that you feel you can trust in Hood River to refer clients to and that you want to continue referring to? If he does, I'm going to the next agent. But if he doesn't, now I will be referral partners with Sid. Now, remember, I'm only calling Sid if he's doing over 30 deals a year because I want an icon level producer as my referral partner, because I know that agents tend to refer about 20% of their annual transaction volume. So that's 6 deals that a 30 agent producer will do. Okay. Now,
Don, I'm sorry. You said an average agent that does 30 deals, they refer another 6 deals, 20% of their volume.
yes, especially if they're a strong listing agent, which, as you know, Nate, most icon level producers are.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with Sid is I'm going to treat him just like my sphere of influence. So how often am I going to call Sid? About 4 times a year. And when I call Sid, what am I going to do? I'm going to call coming from a place of contribution, share best practices, and I'm going to get Sid to tell me his story. And when Sid tells me that he's been producing at 30 plus deals a year for 6 or 7 years, I'm going to say, wow, that is amazing. That's fantastic. So Sid, I can imagine with that kind of tenure, have they put you in ownership in your brokerage? Well, what do you mean? No, I'm not an owner. And I go, well, have you ever looked at the EXP model? Because with your production, you'd be treated as a business partner from year one. You'd get your entire cap back in stock every single fiscal year, right? Anyway, do not do that on the first call, okay? But once you have built a relationship with this referral partner and you're sharing best practices, you're treating them just like your sphere, coming from a place of contribution. Now, at some point, wouldn't it be natural for me to just ask more about Sid's business, his plans, right? I think Sid, truth be told, even though he says he's in Portland, what he really wants to do is hang out, looking at the ocean at his beach house, okay? Now, if he joins EXP and builds a 6-figure recurring income, we could make that possible for him. But he's not going to be able to do that at Bumblebee Realty, okay? So that's my strategy, you guys, is, by the way, think about this. How many referrals does an icon producer refer in a year that's doing over 30 transactions a year? It's 6, right? It's 20%. So if you have built relationships with, I didn't say any 5,000 markets, I said the top 300 markets in the country, most logical to refer to and from your market. And those people are referring 6 deals. You realize that those 300 people are referring 1,800 transactions a year. If you have built that relationship with them and have a commitment for a reciprocal referral relationship, and you've been coming from a place of contribution and you're staying in touch with them, okay, are you going to get 1% of those 1,800 referrals? Is that reasonable?
That's 18 deals,
That's 18 deals.
360,000.
Now that was 7th grade math, Nate. Did you make it past 7th grade?
Plus you're getting the relationship with the 300 agents.
Exactly. Okay. So the strategy, and I don't know if you're going to make 18 deals. What if you only make half of those? Nate, what's your average sales price?
$1.1 million, $1.05 million, something like that. 900,
so
900, right around
the
$1 million.
average commission is at least $25,000. What's 9 times 25? It's like 180. It's $220,000. So if this strategy only works half as well as I just said, so he only gets 9 instead of 18 deals, he just added $220,000 in commission volume. And I'm telling you, if you have 300 people that move every 5 years, 60 are moving every year, 5 a month. I'm saying Nate's getting one of those icons every single month. Okay, how many people in the history of EXP have been able to attract an icon every month for 12 months or more?
Less than 1%.
No one has ever done it.
Hmm.
No one has ever done it. And so you guys, there's plenty of people like Brent's recruited, I don't know, 89 or something, but those aren't 89 icons. Okay. Anybody ever tell you that A's attract A's and B's? B's attract B's and C's. C's attract C's and D's. Okay. If you put 20 icons on your front line, you're going to end up with a 7-figure recurring income, whether you like it or not.
So that's interesting. Can I ask a question? Are we
Yep.
okay here? Okay, so because this is a small group, so that's interesting what you say about A's attract A's, B's attract B's. Because here's one of my issues. I'm not saying I'm an A or a B, but I'm saying when I try to attract someone who does, how do I say it, less volume than me, or maybe doesn't have a team, or it seems like I just overwhelm them until they're just like they don't even want. Like you ever see Tommy Boy when he sits inside the when he sits inside the restaurant and he's trying to tell the waitress that he wants chicken wings. If you ever go watch the movie and he goes, then I kill my cell like the little pet and I pet it, and I pet it, and I pet it. Like I crush my deals, right? So I can deal with Sid because Sid's a rock star and sells a ton of properties. Sid doesn't have any problem leaning forward when Nate talks to him. I don't scare Sid, okay? Or Gail, because we've been friends for a long time and she's a top producer. But I can't attract these onesie twosies at all. So what I should do is what you're saying. Look, Nate, just focus on people of like kind and then show them how you do your business. And then those other people will follow along by just speaking and teaching and doing things like this. That was worth the 300 grand right there. Don. Thank you very much. Because that's where I'm going on. I'll try to do a one-on-one with a onesie twosie. And I'm like, how can this person not just do what I say? Because look how much deals I do. Why don't they just do it? Right. And they don't. They just scares them off.
Well, you know what? Here's what goes through their mind, Nate. And you know this, is that they're thinking, yeah, it's good for Nate because he gets this entire cat back in stock. He's an icon and he's a ball buster. Okay. He can do anything, you know.
What they say.
I don't know that I could do it. Okay. So you're right. You know, you want to, well, here's the thing. If you recruit down, you're going to constantly be lifting them up. If you recruit up, they're going to be lifting you up. Okay. Now, here's an interesting statistic, because I did an analysis of the top 100 organizations in EXP. I happen to be one of them, but I'm just one of the 100. Okay. 16% of them are icon level producers. Now, you know how they ended up with a multi-thousand person organization? Sheila Fedgeron recruits Brent Gove. Elizabeth Riley recruits Gene Frederick. Okay. So yes, as an icon, go recruit other icons. But as an icon, you also can attract a builder. And if you get the right builder, now that person is going to build an organization underneath you, whether you like it or not. Do you think Brent relies on Sheila to get his business done? Okay. So do you see how, though, because Sheila, by the way, had to go to that seminar, right? Icon people, just like you guys showed up today, are learning-based agents. Then she had to have the guts to call Brent after the event and ask him to take a look at the EXP model. 2 weeks later, he joined. Bam. Sheila now makes a few $1 million a year because she went to that seminar and picked up the phone and asked Brent to do that. Okay. So and again, Nate, first of all, most agents don't go to the seminar. It's only the top 20%, right? And then even if they do, they got to have the guts to then pick up the phone and call, right? So the higher the caliber professional that you attract into your organization, the less you're going to feel like you're pushing on a rope, right? And they're going to lift you. But it's just this particular strategy I'm fond of, because right now, one of the things that has happened to EXP, and the reason why, candidly, between us folks, our growth has stalled, is because even the icon level producers are looking for an extra deal a month right now. And so whatever energy that they had towards attraction is reduced pretty much since June of 2022, because they're like, hey, yes, I'd love to have recurring income. And I need to feed my family like next month. Okay. And so what I like about this particular strategy is this strategy is going to earn Nate an extra $220,000 in commission, even if it only works 50% of how it should work. Okay. And he's going to start attracting an icon agent every single month. Not in the first month. If you guys do not, if you're having a referral conversation, please do not have an EXP conversation in the first call. Okay. Unless They ask you, hey, Nate, what company are you with? Oh, I'm with EXP. You know, would you tell me what it's like over there? You know, I'm constantly being called about it. Then Nate has permission. But otherwise, just be genuinely interested in them, find out what's working for them, find out if there's a way that you can be of value to them. When that person sees Nate's caller ID, it is absolutely critical that they look at that caller ID and go, that's Nate Butcher. He's a guy that I can count on coming from a place of contribution. I'm picking up that call if I'm not in an appointment. Okay?
Well, Don, what's so good about what I'm hearing you say too is, you know how, well, I don't know if you all read the Bible, but there's a quote in the Bible that says Jesus couldn't do miracles in his own town. Meaning people where you're really close to, they don't seem to respond to you when they saw you start your career, like for me as a police officer 20 years ago. So it's hard for me to get top producers in my own town. But now being someone who has a team, who does over 100 million, who speaks here and there, Brent's helped me do some of that. If I reach out to somebody in Nashville, if I reach out to somebody in San Diego, Chicago, then they don't see you from the same light. So that's a great strategy, because then you're just a referral partner. You develop the relationship, you give them whatever deals you can. That's a great strategy. It's a great strategy.
Well, exactly. And you know, one of the sayings around that is it's really difficult to be a prophet in your own land.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Four miracles, that's where it came from, right?
Yeah. Okay. But, you know, hey, if I am in Hood River, Oregon, and Nate Butcher calls me and says he's running a team doing over 100 million a year, I'm like, yeah, I want to be your referral partner. You can be my new best friend.
That's right. I love it.
All right, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Does anybody have any questions for Don? And by the way, folks, this is being recorded. We will get this out to the group so you can look at it. Don, I got to tell you, you've blown me away today. I mean, I've listened to you before. This is gold stuff, man. You really brought it today.
Thank you. Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's fun to be here. And I've been racking my brain for over a year because I saw that, our highest quality agents had gone back into production because they needed to.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that's not good. What can we do to get those people who obviously, as an icon, they have a little more influence? What can we do to get those people attracting again? And this strategy is one. Now, here's the thing, okay? You might be sitting there going, well, I'm not an icon, okay? Here's what you can do. You go to somebody that's just one click ahead of you. They will respect your initiative, and they will be a referral partner with you 9 times out of 10, okay? In other words, if you're doing 12 deals a year, you can build a relationship with somebody that's doing 24, okay? But don't go trying to go from 12 to 120, okay? You guys have different issues. When you call to come from a place of contribution to share best practices, dude, they were having your issues 8 years ago. Okay. It's not going to be a relevant conversation, right? Now, here's the fun part. If you go build a network of agents, by the way, do you see how, and then you know what you could do is I could see Nate doing this actually. He's going to build his network of 300. He's going to do a Zoom a month, and he's going to feature different people as speakers in the deal. And do you see how it's not just Nate that was the benefactor of that? Do you see how the guy in Nashville who Nate featured on the Zoom, and there's 300 icons on this call, or, 20% will show up. There's 60 icons on this call. Okay. Do you see how Nate doing that also created referrals for the guy in Nashville, right?
All right. Anybody have any questions for Don?
Hey, Don. Go ahead, Alton.
Hey, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to make a good comment. One of the best things I love when I talk to Don or listen to him, because I didn't say much, is how strategic he is, which is the exact opposite of me. I'm like I'm like the most non-strategic jump in the water. Is it hot or is it cold when I'm in the water type of a thing. The biggest things that I got out of this is how to maybe take a breath, back up a minute, and to really be more strategic with the same actions, because then you just have the opportunity to be much more efficient. So I thank you. I thank you for that, because I get that from you every time I talk to you, and something that this old dog is still trying to learn.
Hey man, I got you by a few years, so I know I'm on day 1858 on Duolingo, and I'm still not fluent.
Hey, Don. Hey, Don. Yeah. I am actually in Portland, Oregon. I'd love to be able to get together and come out there and have a coffee with you or lunch.
Oh, 100%. Frank has my contact, or actually, I'll just put my number in the chat so you guys can reach out.
Thank you.
Don's being very humble. He lives up north, but in, what is it, the summertime? Where do you live, Don?
Baja.
Baja.
Yeah. Hey man, wherever, that's the beauty of working in EXP, man.
That's right.
As long as you got Wi-Fi, you can ring the register.
All right. Anybody else have a question for Don before we wrap up?
So good.
Don, real quick, I was going to just say, I was going to bring a big thing about retention. As we're building, obviously, there's a retention issue and everything. But given your strategy that we're going to, obviously, as you keep doing that, you're supporting the agents and you're supporting your relationships. So that would also build retention. So that's what I really like about the idea that you have with this structure. And this plan.
Excellent, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And by the way, you guys, just a couple more insights on doing this strategy. Avoid franchise companies, because even though they're saying they're going to have a reciprocal referral relationship with you, they tend to refer in network. So avoid the Coldwell Banker, the Century 21, the Remax, the KW. Okay. Now, also outside of your EXP friends, build your network with agents from independent brokers. It's pretty tough to, in Nate's case, I would make an exception, okay? But it's pretty tough to recruit an EXP agent that's already an EXP. But Michael, you know, if you get your people to do this, then that will be a form of retention too, right? Because they're going to want to stay in that network.
That's awesome. Hey, Chris, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get this recording out to the group as soon as we can. And I want to do a small plug for Don. Don does do Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. He has a group called Atomic Habits. Chris and I promote it on the Winner Circle, and him and Tom Daves and special guest talk. And it never lacks for education and inspiration. It's very, very good. Don, thank you again. We appreciate it so much. You were great.
Hey,
and I look forward to the next time we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. Hey, I just
Thank you,
put
Don.
the Atomic Team meeting in the chat. So if you want to join us, it's 9 a.m. Pacific, atomicteammeeting.live.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks
Thanks
for
for having
joining.
us today.